tried to do my hair today, but it's muggy in Florida right now because it's been raining for like 2 weeks and overcast, and you do your hair and you walk outside and the weather's like, that's cute. And now it's gone. Hey guys, it's Sarah, and today we're going to talk about what I read in the month of February, which was a lot. I read a lot of books in February, you guys. I gathered them all and counted them up and just went, holy crap, I read 15 books in February. I don't even know how that happened because February is a short month, but it happened. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to be appreciative. So we have a lot to talk about. So let's go ahead and get into it. The first book that I picked up in February was one that I was finally like, I'm just going to read whatever I want to right now, whatever I feel like picking up, whatever's calling out to me. And that was an audiobook. And it was Kevin Hart's audiobook. And I wanted to pick his up because I had it through Audible. I bought it before I stopped my Audible subscription, so I still have access to it, but I went ahead and purchased it before I wasn't going to have any more credits available to me. And I'm really glad I did. We saw Kevin Hart in January. That was actually my husband's Christmas gift. And he's amazing. I love him so much. He was really, really great. He puts on a great show, and he's very, very authentic to what he is. You know, when you watch his comedy specials on TV and stuff, he doesn't jazz it up for TV. Like, he was the same. I can't say enough good things about his show and, you know, just his comedy in general. So I wanted to listen to his book, and I thought, you know what, now's a good time because I just saw him and all this stuff, and I listened to this book, and I think this was my favorite audiobook of all time. I'm not kidding. I was laughing before the book even started. Just the intro stuff, just him setting it up and doing the credits, the intro credits and all that. I was laughing already. I really feel like if you're going to read this book, you should listen to it because it's such an amazing experience, and you're going to get so much more out of the audiobook than you would if you were physically reading it. And he's just so funny. He's so funny. And, you know, the cadence of his voice is really unique and particular. And, you know, you kind of know that you're listening to Kevin Hart. He does talk about things in a humorous way. He also ties some of these things together into life lessons, which is what I really liked. And I can't talk highly enough of it. I loved it so much. It's one that I would actually listen to again. I would listen to this audiobook again. That's how good it was. And I gave it 5 stars, obviously. And I didn't even tell you the name of it. It's called I Can't Make This Up. Obviously, you're seeing the cover here. But if you're a Kevin Hart fan, this is a must listen to. Listen to it for real. It's amazing. The next book that I picked up was a book that was for review. So I do have a separate review video for this, so I'm not going to go into the details of it. But I read Ashantae, and this is by Gita Trelease. And this is a fantasy book that is set in the early 1900s in Paris. And it is set around the French Revolution, kind of that time period when things are starting to happen over there. It follows a girl who is able to practice magic, and she ends up being able to disguise herself and go to the Palace of Versailles in order to gamble and make money so that her and her sister can survive in Paris and in this time period where, you know, the average person is really suffering. So it was very, very good. I loved it. I gave it a 4.5 stars, and I definitely recommend it if you do like historical fiction, and if you like fantasy historical fiction, you know, historical fiction stuff, but with a little bit of fantasy mix in, is perfect for that. And I really, really enjoyed it. The next book that I read is one that I buddy read with Candace, and we read Violent Ends, and this is by Sean David Hutchinson, edited by him. This is actually by 17 different authors, including Sean. So each chapter is a different point of view from somebody who was involved with a school shooting or knew the person that was involved in a school shooting. And you get all these different perspectives from the same event, I guess you could say. And I loved this a lot more than I thought I was going to. I really did. It was heartbreaking, and it was something that you kind of started tying together as well. So not only is it 17 different points of view from, people from different aspects of it, you're getting family members, you're getting, people who knew the shooter, you're getting people who were there when the shooting started, you're getting people who were just in the general vicinity but didn't actually see anything happen. So you're getting all sorts of different angles from it. But you're also getting a storyline and you're kind of tying some things together. So it was very interesting. I really, really liked it. There is a perspective in here. I'm not going to tell you what perspective it was, but it was written by Neil and Brendan Schusterman, and it blew my mind. And Candace's as well. We both just went, what? And our jaws on the floor. It was brilliant. And that's all I'm going to say. Like, even that chapter alone is worth the read of this book. And it's not a very long one, but let me tell you guys, it was fantastic. I definitely read a couple of authors in here that I would like to read more from now, including Neil Schusterman. And the other one is Alyssa Nader. Hers was probably my second favorite in here as well. And I now want to pick up some books from her because the way that she wrote her chapter was just amazing. So really good, really highly recommend. If you can read something that involves a school shooting, I know not everybody's comfortable doing that, but if that's something that you can do, I would definitely pick this one up. 5 stars. Okay, guys, this next one was actually a 5-star prediction for my list. Back in December, I think, Lindsay and I, for Bookless Thursday, we asked you guys for 5-star predictions, what you guys think that we would get 5 stars, and we picked the top 5 that popped up. So this was one on that list. So I'm not going to tell you what my star rating is yet. I'm going to wait until we do our follow-up for that. But I read The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Finally read it. I've had this for a while, and this has been just all over BookTube for the past probably year and a half, and everybody is just raving and raving and raving about it. And so one of my subscribers recommended it to me as a 5-star prediction. So I'm not going to give you my star prediction right now, but I will say that I loved it. And Evelyn I felt like she was a real person. The way that this was told, I felt like it was a biography of Evelyn Hugo and that she's a real person. She's a real Hollywood star. And I want to do more research on her and I want to watch her movies, but she's not real. That's how well this was told. And it follows Evelyn and her rise to stardom in Hollywood in the 50s, I believe, is when she kind of was going out there and trying to, make a name for herself as an actress. I believe that's when it started. And you see her get married 7 times. So you read about her 7 husbands, literally. You find out who is the love of her life and just the things that she had to do to get to where she was, and she was unapologetic about it, was both kind of frustrating, but celebrating at the same time. I don't know if that makes any sense. I was frustrated with her at times because I thought she made some really bad decisions and I thought she was hurting people and then when she didn't need to be hurting people. But I also understood why she was doing it. And it helped her get to where she was. So it was kind of it was a difficult balance for sure. But I did love her as a character. I thought she was fantastic. And that's all I'm going to say for right now. So I will do more in depth when we do our follow-up for our 5-star predictions. Next book that I read was one that I got from the library, and I got it on a whim. I walked into the library, I saw it, and I was like, I want to read that. And I picked it up and I read it, guys. That never happens, even though that's my ultimate goal in life, is to be able to do something like that. All right, so I picked up My Sister, the Serial Killer by Oinken Breathwaite. I don't know how to say her name, you guys. I'm so sorry. I don't know how to say her name. So this one has been going around BookTube as well. A lot of people have been talking about this one, and it sounded very interesting. And this follows a woman who lives in Nigeria, and her sister is literally a serial killer. She has killed more than 3 people, and that's when you are considered, or is it more than 2? I don't remember if it's more than 2 or more than 3, you're considered a serial killer. And she spends her life kind of hiding it for her and helping her get away with it and hiding the bodies and making excuses and protecting her sister. She is a nurse and she works for a doctor who she is in love with. And the big problem that she has with, obviously, other than her sister is killing people and they're all men, her sister is considered extremely beautiful. Very, very beautiful. Therefore, her life is a little bit easier. She doesn't have to work as hard as other people. Things just kind of get handed to her. Men fawn all over her. It doesn't matter, who they are, if they're married or not. They are in love with her and, just give her things. And her life is kind of a breeze, whereas our main character here is struggling to, keep everything afloat for her and her family, including her sister. So that was a big struggle for her. This one I enjoyed. I did enjoy it. It's very, very short. It is very, very small. As you can see, when I picked it up, I was surprised. I thought this was going to be a normal size hardback, but it's not. And I liked it. I thought the characters were very complex and very interesting. I thought that the way things kind of unfolded pretty slowly was good. There wasn't a lot of action in it. It wasn't action-packed. It didn't leave me on the edge of my seat in any way, shape, or form, but I thought it was told really well. The writing is really, really good, and I gave this one 4 stars. The next book that I read was for my class reading that I'm doing, and that is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I listened to this on audiobook, and it was fine. So I'm not big on classics, just in general. So this may have been going into this at a disadvantage with me already. I just don't enjoy classics all that much. I think they're a little bit dry, they're a little bit boring, and they're just not my favorite. So I tend to not love classics the way that some people do. And this was basically the same story. I did enjoy the characters. I enjoyed the March sisters a lot. I really loved Jo. I did not like the way the love interest ended up. I don't like what happened. I don't like who Lori ended up with. I didn't like it. It almost ruined the book for me. I did not like it. I don't think I'm in the minority on that one either. And yeah, I don't know. It was good. It was interesting to follow them and see, kind of the hardships that they had to deal with and all that. But yeah, it was fine. And the audiobook was good. The reader was good. The narrator, the reader. Yeah, I gave it 3 stars. All right. The next one that I read is also a 5-star prediction for me. And I won't tell you my star rating right now, but if you watched my Contemporary-a-thon wrap up, you know how I feel about this book. Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. It's my favorite book of the year. And I'm just going to say that. I loved it. I loved it, loved it, loved it. These characters, I can't. I'm still thinking about them. And I read this mid-February, and I still think about Elliot. He's my crush. I don't usually get book crushes, but oh my gosh, do I have one on Elliot. I love him so. This follows 2 kids who end up meeting when they're 13 and 14, I believe. And Macy is the girl, and her family, or her and her dad, buy a cabin, like kind of a weekend cottage type thing right next door to another family who has Elliot. And the first time that they're at this cabin, Elliot and Macy meet. They form a pretty strong friendship. They bond over books, and you follow their relationship. So you follow their friendship, you follow what's happening. They're building this really, really strong bond with each other, even though they only see each other on occasional weekends whenever Macy is in town at the house. And so it's not something where they're together every single day. That's not it at all. And you see them, go through the struggles of being a teenager and, friendships and girlfriends and boyfriends and all this stuff. And you see their bond grow stronger because of it. It grows into something more, and then it completely comes crashing down on them. And then you also have a time jump where you're following them in both these timelines where they are adults and they see each other again after 11 years, I think, of no communication. Yeah. It's good, you guys. It kept me on the edge of my seat. I had to keep going. I had to keep reading to know what was going to happen. I had to I had to cheer for them. I had to scream at them when I was frustrated with one of them. And I loved every single word of this book. And I am now like completely strapped in on the Christina Lauren train, and I want to read everything that they have written. So, but I won't give you a star rating yet. I'm going to make you wait. The next one that I read was also another 5-star prediction from you guys, and that is This Is How It Always Is by Lori Frankel. This is one that I listened to on audiobook. And this follows a young boy named Claude, and he is in preschool, I think, preschool, kindergarten timeframe, when he tells his parents that he wants to be a girl. And you follow that, because that's a big thing, right? You follow the family trying to understand it. You follow the family trying to figure out how they're going to handle it and what to do. And you follow how society treats them because of everything that happens. And I thought it was incredibly well done. And this is kind of an own voices book. Lori Frankel's son, I believe, is transgender as well. So she's definitely speaking from experience, you know, having to go through something like this. And it was heartbreaking as well. Some of those quotes in that book still stick with me. If you watch my Contemporary-a-thon vlog, I talk about the quotes a little bit while I was reading it, just things that are going to stick with me for a long time. And I really, really enjoyed this book. It made me think, and it just pulled at my heartstrings left and right. So yeah, I'll give you my star rating again in my follow-up for my 5-star predictions, but it was a good one. The next one that I read was another book for my class, and it was a poetry collection, and I read Where the Sidewalk Ends by Shel Silverstein. This is a reread for me. I did read this as a kid multiple times, and it was really interesting reading it again as an adult and just revisiting some of the poems that I can still, you know, remember the themes of some of these poems and remember, like, you know, what they were about and everything. Not word for word, but it was really great. And it's funny because when I picked this up, I was thinking, like, I'll just read a few poems here and there and it'll be enough to write a little synopsis for my project and blah, blah, blah. And I picked it up and I was like, nope, I'm going to read this whole thing because it was giving me such nostalgia. And I did. I sat there and read the whole thing. I did do it in one day. You know, I kind of picked it up throughout the day and ended up reading all of them because it is poetry. Some of them are longer, but some of them are also very, very short. And I really loved it. One of my favorite ones is Jack something and his television. Let me find it. Jimmy Jet and his TV set. That I think was probably my favorite one in here. I really liked it. And yeah, so 5 stars for this one for sure. Shel Silverstein was just a master. And the next one that I read was one that I read for Contemporary-a-thon, and it was also a review book. So I do have a separate review video for this one, so I won't go too much into it, but I will link it down below if you haven't seen it and you want to see more of my thoughts. But that is 99% Mine by Sally Thorne. And I did not like this book, you guys. I gave it 2 stars, which I have seen a lot of people giving it 2 stars. When I've seen people like rating it and talking about it, I'm kind of nodding. I'm like, me too. And everybody had the same type of issues that I did. This follows Tom and Darcy. They are adults. They have known each other since they were kids. Darcy has always had this crush on him and has been very blunt about it, so he knows. And they end up finding themselves in a situation where he is renovating her grandmother's cottage for her. Her grandmother has passed, left the cottage to her, and he's in charge of renovating it. He's in charge of the team that's going to be doing all the renovations on it. So they're spending a lot of time together. So much of this book didn't work for me. I understood where the intention was, but it just wasn't very well executed. I don't think there was a lot about Darcy I did not like. I did not like her as a character at all. Like, I didn't like anything about her. I really didn't. I liked Tom as a character. I thought he made some questionable decisions some of the time. But Darcy kind of killed it for me, and she's the main character. So yeah, but more on my thoughts if you want to see them down below. But yeah, 2 stars. The next book was also for my reading project, and I listened to this on audiobook, which I definitely recommend if you guys end up reading this book, but that is Echo. This is by Pam Munoz Ryan, and this follows a harmonica. It follows a harmonica, basically. This is a kind of a historical fiction type of book. It is set a little bit around the World War II time frame. There are different people who are followed, and it goes a little bit through the year. So it's not all in World War II, but there is a big chunk of it that is set in World War II. And you follow different people who come across this magical harmonica and what the harmonica does to change their lives and the direction that it helps them take and how it kind of connects all of them together. And it was fantastic. It really was. I really, really enjoyed this book a lot. It looks huge, but really a lot of it is song lyrics. There's a lot of song lyrics in here too. And it is a middle grade. So as you can see, like the font is really big. But the audiobook, you guys, is so great because you can hear the harmonica being played and you hear the music that is inspiring for them and what they're listening to and everything. And I was even singing along because there's a song in here from South Pacific, and I was singing along to it because I watched South Pacific growing up. That's one of the musicals that me and my mom, my sister really loved. So, yep. And this was also a Newbery Honor book. So if you're doing middle grade March, this would be a really, really great one to listen to. I really highly recommend listening to it. You can also read it and enjoy it just as much, but the audiobook, like it adds so much to it. And I gave this one 4 stars. And the next one that I have is the buddy read that Lindsay and I did together that you guys voted on for us for Bookless Thursday. So I do have a reading vlog for this one as well. So I'll leave that link down below. Lots of linkies down below this time. But that is The Lost Girls of Paris by Pam Jenoff. And we asked you guys to pick a book from an author that neither one of us has read. And this one was just so good, you guys. We are very thankful that you guys picked this one because it's fantastic. So this is a historical fiction that centers around World War II, and it follows 3 different perspectives. So you have Grace, who is kind of in the more present tense, but it's still 1946 in Manhattan. And then we are also following Eleanor and Marie. And Eleanor and Marie are 2 people who worked together during the war, and their timeline is 1944. So it's only 2 years in the past, but it's following 2 different people, completely different locations in the world. So it wasn't confusing to follow at all. Like I was able to follow it really easily. Eleanor is in charge of putting together a group of women who are going to be working as spies against the Germans. And everything is very top secret, very classified, very hush-hush. No one really knows about them. Marie is one of the women that she recruits to be a part of this team. And you are seeing what they are having to go through. And it's awful. Grace, who is in 1946, ends up finding out about Eleanor and these women. And the reason that she finds out about them is because she trips over a suitcase in the middle of Grand Central Station and opens the suitcase and finds a stack of pictures of these women. And so she kind of makes it her mission to find out their story and who they are and what their roles were and all these things. And so she's going on this kind of crusade to uncover all this stuff. It was fantastic. I loved it so much. Lindsay did too. And I want to read more from Pam Jenoff right now. If you're a historical fiction fan, definitely pick this one. It's one of the best that I've read. And obviously 5 stars. Almost done, guys. All right. The next one I picked up is one that I read really quickly because it was for my class, and that is The Diary of a Wimpy Kid by Jeff Kenney. This is the first book in the series, and I read this as one of my transitional books, and it was fine. I gave it 3 stars. I could definitely see how young boys would really enjoy this. It is following a kid named Greg who is trying to navigate middle school, which is, so fun, right? And you're, following his friends, things that are happening, how he's getting in trouble sometimes. And it was fine. I liked that his parents are very present in here, and they're, he's getting in trouble when he needs to get in trouble, and, things like that. He doesn't get away with everything type thing, and his parents don't care. That's not the situation here. But there were also a lot of, I think, missed opportunities where you could have thrown in a little bit of a life lesson or a little bit of, hey, what did you learn from this type thing. There wasn't enough of that in here for me, I don't think. But I could definitely see why kids would like this, especially boys. And it is told in a diary format. And there's also illustrations to go with a lot of them. And it's mostly like, the kids and stuff. So 3 stars. And then I picked up another one for my class. And this one I read in probably 30 minutes. It was so fast. And I read the first book in the Dog Man series. And this is by Dave Pilkey, who also wrote the Captain Underpants series. Now, this ties into Captain Underpants, which I didn't know at first. But if you've seen Captain Underpants, the movie, or read the books with your kids or anything like that. So Captain Underpants was created by Harold and George, who are 2 little boys who meet in kindergarten and they're best friends. And they created Captain Underpants, the comic series, the comic book hero. And in the Captain Underpants movie, he comes to life and becomes an actual, Captain Underpants is a real thing. So for Dog Man, I did not know anything about this going in. I just knew that kids loved it. I know quite a few people who have kids who love this book. And so when I opened it, it talks about Dog Man behind the scenes here. And it talks about the origin of Dog Man. And it's George and Harold. And this was the first comic book series that they came up with when they were in kindergarten. So this was before Captain Underpants type thing. And it talks about them going through all that. So that was kind of cool to see that. And then it goes into the actual Dog Man. And this is like, their original whatever. And it was really cute. So this follows a policeman who has a dog. And they find themselves in a situation where the policeman's head is dead and the dog's body is dead. So they say, hey, why don't we just put the dog head on the policeman's body and everything will be fine? Hence, Dog Man. So that's what happens. These are kindergartners, okay? But it was so funny. And the way that it's written, I really like, because as you can see, the illustrations are very colorful, but the font in it looks like a kindergartner was writing, it really looks like there's, it's kid handwriting, basically, is what I can say. And it was really cute. It really was. And you see Dog Man going on different adventures, trying to, save his city. And he has a cat nemesis and all sorts of stuff. So it was really cute. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. I thought I'd probably be rolling my eyes through some of it, but I thought it was adorable. And I gave it 4 stars. Okay, guys, this last one. Final one that I read, and I read majority of this in February. I finished it March 1st technically, but I only had 25 pages left, so I'm counting it for February. But this is another 5-star prediction, so I'm not going to give you my star rating quite yet. But that one is The Promise of Stardust, and this is by Priscilla Sibley. And this one is a contemporary book, and it's kind of a medical drama as well. It follows a couple who are married, and they have been trying for a while to have a baby and having a lot of issues. The wife, her name is Elle, she is diagnosed with a medical condition that makes it very, very hard for her to carry a baby in her womb. They try quite a bit to, conceive and to have a baby, but it ends in miscarriages a lot. So it's getting frustrating, and they have almost kind of just, should we just give up type thing. One day, Matt, who is the husband, gets a phone call, and Elle has been in an accident and ends up in the hospital, and she is pretty much brain dead. And so things are happening, and I don't want to give too much away, but the problem that she's on life support right now, and the problem is that, she has these medical documents that put Matt's mother in charge of her, to make her medical decisions if she can't. And, declaring all these things I don't want to be on life support. If I'm ever on life support, take me off, let me die in peace, blah, 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 blah. But Matt is so strong in, she would not want this type thing, but he doesn't have any legal power over it because she didn't name him anything. And so you find like this big dynamic between Matt and his own mother about what's going to happen to his wife who is laying here in this bed. And, man, like it goes there, you guys. A lot happens. It's a lot of legal things, but it's also just like, what would you do in that situation? I don't know. Like it definitely is something that makes you think. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Jodi Picoult book where you don't really know what the right answer is. And yeah, so it was very good. I really enjoyed it. Again, I'm not going to give you my star rating quite yet. I will save that for my follow-up, but it's a good one. Okay, 15 books. I literally don't know how that happened. I really, really don't. I'm happy that it did, but okay. I'm going to take it. A lot of them were, you know, like the transitional books I needed to read for my class. So those went really, really quickly. So I'm sure that helped. But okay, that's going to be it for me today, guys. Let me know down below if you guys have read any of these, what your thoughts were, all that good stuff. If you want to see more details on the books that I have reviews for, I will have those all linked down below. So just make sure you go check those out if you haven't seen them already. And I will be back tomorrow with my TBR for March. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.